The United States Navy eliminated most of Iran's naval forces in just 39 days. Warships destroyed, submarines sunk, billions of dollars in military hardware turned into wreckage at the bottom of the Persian Gulf. On paper, it looked like a complete victory. But today, something doesn't add up. Right now, more than 600 commercial ships are sitting outside the Strait of Hormuz, doing nothing. They're not moving, they're not unloading, they're just waiting. And it's not because of enemy warships, it's not because of fighter jets or missiles, it's because of something far smaller and far more dangerous. Naval mines. These weapons are simple, in some cases shockingly cheap, about the size of a trash can. But they've managed to do something no Navy, no missile system, and no Air Force has been able to do in decades. They've brought global shipping to a halt. Even more surprising, the most powerful Navy on Earth doesn't currently have a fast or reliable way to remove them. To understand why this is happening, you need to understand what modern naval mines actually are. Most people imagine an old metal sphere with spikes, floating in the water, like something from a World War II movie. That image isn't wrong, but it's incomplete. Modern naval mines are far more advanced and far more dangerous. There are 3 primary types, and each one works in a completely different way. The first type is the contact mine. This is the closest thing to what people usually imagine. It's a metal shell filled with explosives, anchored to the seafloor, but floating just below the surface. If a ship touches it, it detonates instantly. Effective. And countries like Iran have thousands of them. The second type is the influence mine. This is where things start to get more sophisticated. Instead of waiting to be touched, this mine sits silently on the ocean floor. It listens. It uses sensors to detect changes in its environment, like the magnetic field of a large steel ship, the sound of a propeller, or the pressure wave created by a moving vessel. When the right combination of signals is detected, it detonates from below. The ship doesn't need to make contact. It doesn't even need to be very close. Some of these mines can detect and strike targets from over 100 meters away. The third type is the most dangerous and the most feared, the rising mine. This weapon stays completely hidden on the seabed. It waits, silently, until it detects the right acoustic signature, usually the sound of a ship's propeller. Then, instead of exploding in place, it launches a warhead upward through the water. In just a few seconds, that warhead travels from the ocean floor to the hull of a ship. There's no warning, no alarm, no time to react. The first sign of danger is the explosion itself. And this isn't just theory. In 1988, a single Iranian mine struck the USS Samuel B. Roberts, a U.S. Navy frigate operating in the Persian Gulf. That one mine cost roughly $1,500, nearly $90 million. It ripped a massive hole in the ship's hull, flooded critical compartments, and nearly sank the vessel. One inexpensive device, almost destroying a modern warship. Now imagine thousands of them spread across a narrow waterway. Here's where the situation becomes even more complicated. For over 3 decades, the United States maintained a dedicated mine-clearing force in the region. These were specialized ships designed for one purpose: finding and neutralizing naval mines. They moved slowly and carefully, scanning the ocean floor with sonar. They carried highly trained divers who would enter the water, locate explosive devices, and manually attach charges to destroy them. It was one of the most dangerous jobs in the military, but it worked. Then, in 2025, those ships were retired. They were aging, expensive to maintain. Some had been in service for decades. The plan was to replace them with newer, more advanced systems, ships equipped with modular technology that could switch between missions. On paper, it sounded like an upgrade. In reality, it hasn't worked out that way. The replacement systems rely heavily on drones and remote-operated equipment. But testing has shown serious problems. Some systems struggle to detect mines consistently. Others fail to neutralize them reliably. In some cases, the equipment works less than a third of the time. And unlike older systems that were always ready, these new setups require time, hours in some cases, just to get operational. That's time the Navy doesn't have in a crisis. Now consider the math. Laying a mine takes minutes. Clearing one can take hours, or even days. And the Strait of Hormuz isn't small. It's one of the most important and heavily used shipping routes in the world. Even though the main shipping lanes are relatively narrow, mines don't stay in one place. Ocean currents can move them. A mine cleared today could drift back tomorrow, which means the problem never truly goes away. In early March, intelligence reports confirmed that mines had been deployed in the strait. Then, in April, something unusual happened. Iran released an official navigational chart. It marked the traditional shipping lanes as dangerous zones and redirected traffic into a much narrower corridor. But there was a condition. Any ship wanting to pass through had to follow strict requirements. They had to submit detailed information about the vessel, its cargo, its crew, and its destination. They had to receive authorization, and they needed a special code to transit safely. Without that code, they couldn't pass. So technically the strait wasn't closed, but it also wasn't free anymore. It was controlled. A fee was introduced. Ships were required to pay approximately $1 per barrel of oil on board. For a standard oil tanker, that could mean a fee of around $2 million per trip. And in some cases, payments were being made in alternative currencies or digital assets instead of US dollars. The result? Traffic through the strait dropped dramatically. Where more than 100 ships would normally pass each day, now only a small number are getting through. The rest are waiting. And this has real consequences. The Strait of Hormuz is one of the most critical energy routes on the planet. A significant portion of the world's oil supply passes through it. When that flow is disrupted, prices rise. Fuel becomes more expensive. Transportation costs increase. And that impact spreads across the entire global economy. Everything from groceries to electronics becomes more expensive. But here's the twist that makes this situation even more unpredictable. Some reports suggest that the exact locations of all deployed mines may not be fully known. Ocean currents can shift them. Deployment records may not be complete, which means even the side that placed them might not be able to track them accurately anymore. So now we have a situation where the most advanced navy in the world is facing a challenge from one of the oldest and simplest types of weapons ever used at sea. Aircraft carriers, submarines, fighter jets, satellites, all of it exists. But none of it can quickly solve this problem. Meanwhile, the mines remain in place, silent, waiting. They don't respond to diplomacy. They don't expire overnight. They don't negotiate. They just sit there until something triggers them. And that brings us to the bigger question. The United States retired its dedicated mine-clearing ships to reduce costs. Those ships were relatively inexpensive compared to modern warships. But now, with one of the world's most important shipping lanes disrupted, the economic impact is measured in billions of dollars every single day. So was that decision justified? Or did it create a vulnerability that's now affecting the entire global economy? Because right now, despite overwhelming military power, the Strait of Hormuz remains a bottleneck. Hundreds of ships are waiting. Energy prices are rising. And somewhere beneath the surface of the water, small, inexpensive devices are shaping global events. What do you think? Was this a strategic oversight or an unavoidable trade-off? Let me know in the comments.